Hello, everyone. This is the Free American Press with your host, Alexander Horat. Today, we're going to be having Shawn, CEO of Dolly Varden, Silver, on the show. Hello, Shawn. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Alexander.
Can you tell the audience of how you first got into mining silver?
Um, well, I got into the mining business back in 2004, and I got involved with a gold project in central Canada, and it was a past producing operation, and it was an opportunity where often in mining you get these opportunities because of the cyclical nature of the business, where you have these assets could trade for anywhere from zero to $1 billion, and if you're buying assets at the right part of the cycle, there's often some tremendous opportunities. So I came in at a time where gold and silver prices were pretty depressed, 2004, and they went on a tremendous run into 2011. And so I caught the mining bug during that first that bull market there.
Okay, so what are the most prolific mining areas in the world?
The most prolific mining areas in the world. There's many, and it depends on what type of mining you're referring to. I tend to focus on gold and silver mining, but some of the big gold and silver camps that come to mind for me is, of course, here in Canada. Focusing in Canada, you've got the big Red Lake mine complex. Of course, you've got the Abitibi Greenstone Belt that starts in Ontario, extends into Quebec. That's been a host to in excess of 100 million gold ounces. The area that I'm focused in is one of the most notable areas in the world. It's referred to as the Golden Triangle. So there's a corner of northwestern BC. So this is the western part of Canada that hosts some of the world's richest gold and silver mines on the planet, and that's where I've focused my efforts.
So how stable is the mining jurisdiction in the Golden Triangle?
That's a great question. Canada is a top tier mining jurisdiction. We've got stable currency, a stable government. We've had stable mining laws since inception. And in terms of the triangle, because Alexander, the devil's in the detail. There's nuances, right? And this particular area, the Golden Triangle, is an area where the local communities, in addition to the Indigenous population, the First Nations, as we refer to in Canada, and the government is very, very pro-mining. So you've got multiple mines that are operating. You have many companies that are exploring, developing, and discovering. So it is, BC's open for business, and the Golden Triangle is an area that, there's a lot of social license to mine.
Okay, so can you give the audience some background information on Dolly Varden as a silver company?
Yeah. Dolly's got a long history that dates back over 100 years. So it's a rich history. It's one of the famous mines in the Golden Triangle. Most notably, in and around the 1920s, the Dolly Varden silver mine was producing at grades of over 1,000 grams per ton. So it's a very rich mine. And then fast forward to more what I would describe as more modern mining in the 1950s. So there's multiple mines on the property. So the property as a whole is referred to as the Dolly Varden Silver Project. And then within that, there are 4 mines that make up our resource, and 2 of those mines were previous producers. So in the 1950s, one of the mines, the big mine on the property, Torbrit, produced at grades of about 500 grams per ton. So it's got a rich history. The property's been known for 100 years. There has been mining activities. There was a rail line that was put in from the mine portal right down to Alice Arm, where there's water access and barge access for shipping. And so it's a very, very prolific area.
Okay, so what is the total amount of silver ounces that Dolly Varden has taken out of the ground?
So previous companies have taken on this property about 20 million ounces out of the ground.
Okay, so how much has your company taken out of the ground?
So I came into Dolly Varden in February of 2020. So I've been here for roughly 14 months. And when I came in, the silver price was $17, and the company had identified about 44 million ounces of resources in the ground. So the company had brought in an independent consultant to verify the company's findings. And we've got a lot of confidence in this measure. So my strategy, my goal is, I'm really bullish on silver prices. And so my goal is I want to really unlock the true potential of the property. So we've been aggressive in our exploration drilling. So, we see this as a district scale opportunity that could potentially double or triple the existing known resource. We think there's a lot of expansion and extension opportunity here. And so our focus has been on exploration, but as a lot of projects throughout the world, there is some major sensitivities to price. So as the silver price has appreciated over the last 12 months, it was one of the best performing commodities, one of the best performing asset classes. It was up over 40% in 2020. We've now looked at the project in its current form, and we are looking at it from a development lens. So initially at $17 silver, I saw it as an exploration company that, could we grow to 100, 200 million ounces? Now I'm looking at it from the exploration luster is still there, but the 44 million ounces in the ground, can we start taking 4 million ounces out of the ground for the next 10 years to fund ongoing property-wide exploration? And one of the things, Alexander, to note here is only 3% of the property has been explored. So there's a lot of room for expansion.
Right, that definitely makes sense. So your company's in the exploration stage right now. When will your company begin mining in these areas that you have explored? What is your plans for that?
It depends upon some studies that we're working on right now. It depends what type of mining methods we employ. Typically, Alexander, my experience has led me to think that we will not likely be the ones to mine this project. So if you look at the industry as a whole, and you think of the mining sector, you had Keith Neumeyer on recently, right? So every day that Keith Neumeyer wakes up, he's depleting his mineral inventory as he continues to successfully mine. So how does a company like First Majestic replenish inventory? One way to do that is through exploration, but we've seen a trend from the majors away from exploration into more of an acquisitive nature. So by acquiring companies like Dolly Varden, companies can advance and move a project further along than just trying to grow a grassroots discovery. So, the simple answer here, Alexander, for you is I don't think we're going to be the ones that are the producers on site.
Okay, so does that mean that your company is going to lease out the land to other companies to mine silver, or how would that work?
So typically what happens in our business is there are takeovers. The company would, if so, what I'm looking for is I'm here for the shareholders, right? So my goal is if a company who is a producer who had the skill set, the team to develop this project, to produce this project. And if we looked at their company and we saw that they had tremendous growth potential, and simply put, we thought their stock was going to rise, we would take that deal and we'd encourage our shareholders to look at a deal with a party that we thought had a lot of growth potential. So we wouldn't lease out, we would essentially sell the company to a larger entity.
Okay, so where do you see the silver market going in the next 6 months?
The one thing that my experience has taught me is my calendar doesn't work very well in terms of I never, this business has humbled me, and it's taught me that things don't happen when I think they're going to. But I've also been quite overwhelmed with how far things could actually go. So, I like to stay away from short-term, projections, because there's so many factors that can come in and push a move off. But what I see happening, whether it's 6 weeks, 6 months, or 18 months, is I see new highs coming in silver. And what I mean by that is new all-time highs, measured in US dollar terms.
Okay, so why do you think the banks are so bullish on buying silver? We see companies like JP Morgan hoarding silver each year. Why are they doing this?
I don't think the banks are bullish on silver. Apart from JP Morgan, I'm not aware of, big banking institutions that are long a significant amount of precious metals. So I would challenge that idea.
Okay, from some of the research that I was doing, I was seeing that, banks, they seem to talk down gold and silver, but at the same time, they're the largest owners of silver and gold in their gold reserves and silver reserves on the planet. So I was just wondering why you think they're have so much in their banks.
Well, it's not. I'm not in the place to speculate on Jamie Dimon's business, philosophies, or how he executes business strategies or operations. But if we took that company aside, you would see why one would try to front run a market and get ahead of some things, and while not talking up their position until they've fully allocated that position.
Okay, so when do you think the next market correction will occur?
Oh, again, that's a great question, because a lot of the sort of traditional metrics that we use to measure markets tell us that we are in extended here, very extended. And so one would think that a correction should have already taken place or is just around the corner. But the one thing that I would challenge that thought with is, if you look at other examples of countries where money printing was running rampant, you'd often see the equity markets continue to grow and continue to push to higher and higher highs, but on a relative basis. And this is why I love gold and silver. I was thinking about, we're doing this call from my home. The pandemic has taken a lot of us, to work from home. And I was actually just thinking about this home, and I was thinking about buying this home roughly 10 years ago. But I didn't think about it in terms of the Canadian dollar purchase price of the home. I thought about it in terms of how many gold ounces I had to give up to buy this home. And actually, it would actually take less ounces of gold to purchase this same home today, 10 years later. So despite, Vancouver is seen as a very hot real estate market globally, right? And I live in the greater Vancouver area. And so one of the hottest, most speculative real estate markets on the planet has still not outperformed gold. And I just arbitrarily looked at it from the time I purchased the home. If I had calculated that from, say, 20 years ago, that would even be further exaggerated in gold's favor. So, for me, it's all about, when you're talking about corrections, it's all relative. The Dow could go to 50,000 points, but that's irrelevant. What's the cost of a loaf of bread? Or what's the price of gasoline? So it's all relative. Looking at one asset class in and of its own in a vacuum, I think doesn't give you the full picture.
So basically what you're saying is that our purchasing power is going to go way down, but the stock market's still going to go up just because we're putting way more dollars into circulation, basically.
Not necessarily. I think, again, and this is why I don't have a short position open today. I put on a short around this time last year. It was probably 13 months ago. And so, I could trade those events, but they're not investments. And so for me, I don't know exactly how things are going to play out. I don't know if we're going to get a 6 month or a year period of deflation, disinflation, stagflation. That's, for me, it's very complicated. So what I've done to protect myself and my family is I've gone to things you can't print out of thin air. And I picked the wrong ones. Like had I bought classic Porsches or fine art, I probably would have done way better. But for me, I'm not an expert in those things, so I've kept it really really simple. I've focused in Canada. I focused in gold. I focused in silver, and and that's I just that's what's And then once you do that, you can start diversifying a little bit more to other asset classes like real estate. And again, it's one of those things you just can't print. I'm sure will serve its purpose and hedge you against inflation, but it's got to be in the right markets, and there's a lot of nuances.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you think Bitcoin is taking part of the silver market share?
I would have said I would have had a knee-jerk reaction to that 2 years ago or a year ago and said no, because it's too small. But it's not too small anymore. And so I think that yeah, I think that and it's not just Bitcoin. What I've seen is speculative small caps, whether they're tech companies, pharma companies, they there's been so many other speculative small cap assets that have taken money away from gold and silver, but that's normal. And the key is it's as simple as when it's difficult to make money in those other areas, investors will come here, right? And I think that like this is a great time right now where you've got the FANG stocks at record highs, you've got biotechs at record highs, you've got so many segments of the market that are doing so well. And you have the commodity complex that on a historic basis is still really cheap. So we've started to see 2019, around the spring of 2019, you start to see some moves by some really big names into gold initially. And that pushed the gold price from 1,300 to we saw it go to $2,100 an ounce in August of 2020. And so the smart money has already began that rotation. But we haven't seen institutional money in a meaningful way, generalist money. We haven't seen the retail investor yet. So we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on the LBMA?
Um, can you be a little bit more specific?
Do you think the LBMA is manipulating the silver price?
I it's so I deal with mining stocks most of my day, right? And there's one philosophy out there where some of my peers, they really focus on the sellers. Who's selling our stock? Who's shorting our stock? I don't put my energy there. My energy goes to introducing the companies to more buyers. So for me, the truth at the end of the day will win out. I'm a holder owner of physical metals. I went out about a year ago and bought a significant amount of physical silver and a little bit of gold. And I don't concern myself with things like manipulation because and it doesn't even actually, it doesn't even benefit me because what I was going to say was, the manipulation's helping me accumulate metals for cheaper, but it's really not. Like, when the digital silver price traded at like 1194 in March of 2020, and when I went out to buy physical silver, I was paying $18 an ounce. So it didn't even translate into a discount. So that manipulation is not even working in the physical market. But again, it's just my nature. I don't have the time or the energy to focus on those things. I applaud friends who do. Chris Marcus, who's a friend at Arcadia Economics, is an expert. And I just let Chris, give me the high level, the Coles notes on what's happening, and try to sort of integrate that into what I'm doing for our business. but it's just not something I give a lot of thought to. I try to focus on finding more silver, on accumulating more silver, and continuing to, like if you look at Dolly Varden, and it's been pretty flat since August, but we've outperformed the silver price by 2x, and there was times in the year where we outperformed the silver price by 5x. So we had a tremendous growth year last year. I've just got to, and that's what my shareholders want me to focus on. That's what Chris Marcus wants me to focus on. And I'll let Chris do his thing with the LBMA.
Right. So what are some new trends and opportunities for your mining company?
New trends and opportunities. I think we got a little bit ahead of the herd, to shout out my friend Rick Mills, that ahead of the herd. But I think we got ahead of the herd in the fact that, we cornered a part of the world that's pretty unique and rare for silver. So I think the big trend is to come north for silver. I think you're going to see a lot of silver miners, move north, and there's very, very few projects in the north. We happen to have one of them, so I think that's a big trend. It's going to be, people are going to be investors, companies, mining companies are going to place a high degree of value on jurisdiction, and being in Northwest BC, being in Canada is a huge competitive advantage we have.
Okay, so can you tell the audience where they can find you and your company?
Absolutely. You can visit us at dollyvardensilver.com. And we're quite active on Twitter at Silver Varden. And I love talking to shareholders, and I love talking to people, even if they're not even if they have no interest in mining stocks or Dolly. I love talking about silver, so I invite anybody to call me. We've got a toll-free number, 800-321-8564. And if you don't get me, we've got a corp dev and IR department that just loves talking about these sorts of things. We have a real passion for it. We're not here because we're accountants looking to crunch numbers, or we're engineers looking to move dirt. We're here because we believe in higher prices, and we're passionate about the metals. And so we're silver stackers. We have a lot of leverage through silver junior mining companies and gold junior mining companies and producers. And we have a real love for discovery as well. So, and trying to do it in a way where it's a triple win. It's a win for stakeholders, shareholders. It's a win for governments, communities. I think there is a way to leave enough meat on the bones for everybody to participate.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Shawn, for being on the show. And I
Oh,
hope,
I'm honored. Thank you for having me, Alexander. And you know what? You seem like quite a young man here. So it's I'm impressed by your maturity and your ambition here. And like a lot of your peers are, swiping Instagram, or like the fact that you've taken this interest. Good on you. And you got a long, bright road ahead.
well, thank you, Shawn, and I hope we can have you on the show again soon. And thank you for the audience who was watching. God bless.